The United Nations Security Council has unanimously extended the mandate of its mission in Afghanistan for another year, underscoring growing international concern over the country's humanitarian crisis, the deteriorating rights of women and girls, and the continued threats posed by terrorist groups operating within its borders. The move comes as Afghanistan remains largely cut off from the international community nearly 5 years after the Taliban returned to power. A report.
The 15-member Security Council voted unanimously to extend the mandate of the United Nations Assistance Mission in Afghanistan, known as UNAMA, until June 17, 2027. The resolution drafted by China reaffirms the UN's role in supporting peace, stability and humanitarian assistance in Afghanistan. It also calls for a strategic review of the mission to improve coordination across UN operations and strengthen implementation of its mandate. The Council says Afghanistan continues to face serious humanitarian, economic and security challenges nearly 5 years after the Taliban returned to power.
The Council's unity in supporting of a strong UNAMA mandate sends an important message. The people of Afghanistan deserve protection, dignity, accountability, and a future defined by rights, opportunity, and hope, rather than fear and repression.
The mandate extension comes at a time when Afghanistan continues to grapple with one of the world's most severe humanitarian crises. According to the United Nations, millions of Afghans remain dependent on humanitarian assistance as the country struggles with widespread poverty, food insecurity, unemployment, and the lasting consequences of decades of conflict. Human rights concerns featured prominently during the Security Council debate. A substantial portion of the Security Council debate focused on human rights, particularly the situation facing women and girls under Taliban rule. Since returning to power in 2021, the Taliban have imposed a series of restrictions that have dramatically curtailed women's participation in public life. Girls remain barred from secondary schools and universities. Women face severe restrictions on employment, movement, and public participation. International organizations have repeatedly warned that the measures amount to systematic discrimination and have deepened Afghanistan's isolation from the global community. Those concerns have intensified in recent weeks following reports that dozens of women were detained in the western city of Herat for allegedly violating the Taliban's strict dress code. According to UNAMA, protests that followed the arrests were forcibly dispersed, resulting in casualties and injuries. The resolution also demands unrestricted access for Afghan women working with the United Nations.
We hope that the Afghan government will heed the legitimate calls of its people and the international community, take more proactive measures to protect human rights, especially the rights of women, and project an image of openness, inclusivity, and responsibility.
Security remained another key focus of the meeting. The Security Council voiced serious concerns over the presence of terrorist groups in Afghanistan and called for stronger regional and international cooperation to combat extremism and prevent the illicit flow of weapons. The resolution authorizes UNAMA to facilitate dialogue between Afghan authorities, neighboring countries, and the broader international community. It also supports efforts to promote regional connectivity, economic development, and conditions for the voluntary and dignified return of Afghan refugees.
For that political process to succeed, the Taliban must act. The Taliban must meet their counterterrorism commitments, respect Afghanistan's international obligations, end hostage diplomacy, and cease their unconscionable abuses of the human rights of women and girls.
The Security Council has requested Secretary General Antonio Guterres to submit a strategic review of UNAMA by March 2027 and continue providing quarterly reports on developments in Afghanistan. The Council says maintaining the UN mission's presence across the country remains critical as Afghanistan confronts humanitarian needs, economic hardship, terrorism threats, and growing international concern over human rights.